Hey, One Team United League.
How we doing out there?
Welcome to One Team Tuesdays, where we take you
Into the locker room, and we're going beyond the turf.
beyond the turf. We got some good stuff for you today. Today's topic is practice what you preach. And those of you who've seen our last few locker room sessions, we talked about forgiveness. We talked about how to respond when you're offended or the offense. But guess what? I was offended. We had an offense. And just this past Sunday. And so we just want to share it with you and understand the purpose of us sharing is for you to not look to us as your example. Christ is your example. He's our example for the bride and the groom overall. But we understand that sometimes we have these leaders. God gives us coaches, marriage coaches, i.e. Dave and Janae, or we have pastors, leaders, mentors in our lives. And sometimes their lives and their marriages seem so perfect, and it's like we look at them and we say that, we can't attain that. Like, we're too far behind. We're arguing all the time. We're dealing with these things. We cannot be that, that marriage, But we want to just kind of be real because the reason that we're here in One Team United and stepping out into this ministry is because we're being directed by God, and He's working in our marriage as we are using us to pour out into other marriages. So we just wanted to share this moment with you. Very brief, not too much, but you can definitely give us your comments a little bit later. But tell us what happened, Dave.
Okay, well, I guess I'll start it off. Well, this past Sunday, we were in service. We were in the middle of giving tithe and offering, and we have 3 little ones, and they are busy. They are busy.
Very busy.
My 2 boys at the time
a
were
3-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Yeah, just was running around, and we were just trying to get them in order and have them be still during that time. And so I'm here writing, filling out the envelope, and I end up correcting my oldest one. And I guess that must have frustrated me. And so my wife during that time actually reached out to assist me with writing the information, and I pulled back and told her I'm not done yet. I got it. Let me finish it. And so, I wasn't aware of my response. I wasn't aware of my facial expressions or anything like that.
Nope.
But things went on, and after service, we were getting ready to go and everything like that, and everything seemed well. Everything seemed fine, and
It wasn't fine.
it wasn't. Obviously, it was not. Man, we got in the car, and she was quiet, and so I knew something was up. So I began to, ask some questions, and one of the things, fellas, you want to notice when your wife is going through some things, or maybe she's not quite herself. Okay.
Pay attention.
First Peter chapter 3 begins to let us know that we should dwell with our wives with knowledge, understanding them. Okay, and so that's very important. I knew something was up, so I began to pry, and I said, what did I say, honey?
He began to ask me. He was like, "Are you sleepy?"
Right.
And I told him, I said, "I'm always sleepy. No sleepier than normal."
Oh man.
In this very
That's
straight
right.
kind of
Team,
tone.
no sleep.
And, I was like, "I'm no sleepier than normal. I'm always sleepy." And then he goes to ask me further. He's like, "Are you okay?"
Right. Yeah. I asked because I knew something was up, but I needed to be more direct.
Right.
And I needed to ask the right question. And so I asked her, "Is anything else bothering you? Is everything else okay?" And then she responded, "No." Okay. And so I thought, oh God, help me. And so no, I gave room for her to share with me because it kind of caught me by surprise when that happened, and I didn't know what was up. But she began to share with me some things, in response to my question.
Yeah, so I told him, what happened. I told him how I felt he snapped at me. I know he look this sweet face.
Not me. Man.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Sweet. His name means beloved, and people love him.
Hey.
Oh, but this little guy right here.
I had no idea.
Ah.
I had no idea.
Anyway, but he is very sweet. But he didn't recognize it. But I told him, I said, you snapped on me, and first he denied it. He said, I didn't know. My response was not, I said it this way. Of course, when you say it over again, you say the same words but not in the same way.
Right.
So I said, well, you didn't say it like that. And he realized the context. Then as I began to speak, he began to realize the context and that was happening at the time, that the boys were acting up, and he was frustrated with them while he was trying to complete the offering information. And so as a wonderful helpmate that I am, I was just offering to assist, and he snapped on me. And so
fellas, you know it never is the way that they, it never is the way they say it. But it's all good.
Anyway, but he recognized one thing that I love, that he recognized when as we were speaking, and we're here at the park, guys.
Sorry.
But he recognized my wife is hurt, and he began to soften and recognize that, you know what, because of what happened, I probably was frustrated, and I did project that onto you. And he apologized. We went through the same process that
we shared with you all.
That we shared
in a previous video.
Practicing what we preach.
That's right.
And we went through it, and it's so funny. He asked me. He got all the way to the part about forgiveness, and when I told him, after he said it, I said, "Well, you didn't say I was wrong." He forgot that step. And so I did have him. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said it jokingly, but we try to follow the process that works, and we even teach that to our children. We teach them the same process, to say, "I was wrong for what I did," acknowledge what they did, say, "I forgive you," and then I will try not to do it again.
Absolutely.
So we teach it to them, and so we have to model it ourselves. So, and he did. He said, "I was wrong."
And gentlemen, let me tell you, man, you have no idea the authority that the Lord has given to you. So when you begin to actually be the first one to speak up and not be passive, and talk about that big elephant in the room, all right? Don't just kind of let it lay there and nobody say anything about it, but talk about it. If you're the first one that is proactive in that moment, let me tell you, it can really kind of save a lot of wasted time. It can save a lot of wasted time, and you know what? The atmosphere can break immediately. We need to realize, as husbands, the position in which God has given us to really speak, and not allow the enemy to cause us to be held back, right? Because our deliverance is in our mouth here, and when we begin to open our mouth, we also release deliverance to our spouses. And so for me to speak up and quickly take responsibility and accountability for my actions. Now, this is the thing, I've been in situations to where I've been like, well, you took it that way. You took it that way. That's not the way that I meant it. Or perhaps,
or we get the apology that, "Oh, I'm sorry you felt that way," or "I'm sorry you took it," or "I'm sorry you were so sensitive."
Right.
Which is not an apology.
That is not
it's not it doesn't come from a place of brokenness or sincerity.
Right.
It's more like, you shouldn't be feeling that way, or you need to grow up, or stop being so sensitive.
Absolutely.
That's not an apology.
Yeah.
So, he admitted and acknowledged, "No, I was wrong for you feeling that way," and that he really recognized, the Bible speaks of in Ephesians that, your wife is like your own body.
That's right.
And
Absolutely.
so he recognized that there was hurt.
That's right.
I was hurt, and so it was like hurting his own body.
And if she's hurting, I'm hurting.
Same team, guys.
Whether I feel a certain way about it or not, I realize this, that we are on the same team. We're on the same team, and so my immediate response should be to cover my wife, to cover her, all right? And that means that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move into her. And what we were saying about knowing your wife, well, I like the process. My wife, she wants me to come into her, all right?
Away.
Approach her right away. Don't allow things just to to go over. All right, don't allow time to be wasted there, but to come into her. And that's immediately what I did once I saw where I saw my error. And so we began to, acknowledge those things, and we were able to get through that relatively quick, because once you're able to admit and get rid of stubbornness and the pride,
there's liberty.
Man, I'm trying to tell you, man, there's quick liberty. We were able to laugh about it and joke and all kinds of stuff and just kind of move on quickly. And so
there was freedom in that one. When you're holding on to it, even for me, holding on to him being wanting to be upset with him because he was wrong, and wanting to hold on to that, but realizing, when I looked into my husband's eyes and I saw that he was sincere in his apology, that it was real, and I just softened. My heart softened towards him, and I submitted, and I said, I forgive, and we kissed, we gave him some sugars, some sugars, and we moved on, and he said something to me. He said, we got a W, and that just perked me right up, because it's like, yes. And it reminded me of what God is calling us to, as coaches in marriage, and how we did not feel qualified for this because we were so busy thinking, what about our own marriage? We got to make sure that we're all together, and before we start ministering and coaching, who are we? But when God qualifies you, God qualifies who He chooses.
That's right.
He didn't choose us because we were qualified. And though I may have some, I have education and I have experience with counseling or anything like that, but that's not why we're here. That's not what God is calling us to work together. It's His qualifications. Amen. And He just, while we were trying to get our own marriage together before this happened, when we finally just were obedient to God and say, we're going to step out here
Amen.
And do this and be obedient to You and trust You, Lord, and launch into the deep. Let me tell you, our marriage has grown exponentially.
This isn't a matter of what, months?
A month, one month.
1 month.
It's only been a month since we've really, stepped out there. But let me tell you, God has grown us, and it doesn't mean that we're not attacked. It seems like that we're on a higher level of attack. We've had several pastors and ministers, just call us and say, hey, the enemy is upset with what you guys are doing, with marriages and what God is doing through you. And so we're praying, and they've been calling and praying, and we know that people are interceding on our behalf because we're feeling it in our marriage. The attack is there. But we're overcoming.
Absolutely.
Through Christ.
That's
through
right.
Christ who strengthens us. And to know that all we have to do is just step out in obedience.
Absolutely.
And I think of Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. And so those things include your own marriage. And for us is, seek the kingdom. I need the kingdom marriages. I need you to coach. He's called us to coach marriages in the kingdom. And so as you do that, I am going to cover your own marriage. I am going to protect your marriage. I am going to grow your marriage. And let me tell you, He has been doing it.
Amen.
I mean, every discussion or argument that we may have, it is quickly resolved.
Amen.
And it's amazing. And when He said that, it just reminded me of that, and I just said, thank you, God, for what You're doing
Amen.
in our lives. We're not perfect, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to come here and talk to you about there. There are a lot of people out there, and let me just speak to those who are also in this calling for marriage. God is calling you to speak to these marriages. Listen, what God needs is real. He needs you to be genuine.
Amen.
Show the realness of what's going on and your struggles, and not just the Instagram version of your marriage. These relationships need to see God getting the glory out of your marriage, and He got the glory in that situation that we were dealing with. And so we just thank God. And this, like I said, this is not for us. This is our story,
Certainly.
But for
God's
His glory.
Absolutely.
So as we leave today, we want to finish up here at One Team Tuesdays. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
But we hope to see you next week already.
Yep.
December
Absolutely.
16th at One Vision 2017. So
Certainly.
we hope to see you there. Remember, you can go on our website, www.oneteam.org. united.org. And guys, listen out. We're giving away a free scholarship registration to a very, very, very blessed couple. If you will, you'll probably call in and find out more information. But we have been asked to be on the radio.
Yeah,
Yay!
it's exciting.
We will be on Life FM next Thursday, early in the morning, 7 to 8 a.m. So listen out. I think it's Life FM 90.9. We'll give out more information on our website. I hope that's the right I hope that's the right radio station. But yes, we'll be on Life FM next Thursday. Listen out. We'll be giving out free registration scholarship for one very, very, very blessed couple. So keep in touch and follow us on Facebook. And if you have any comments about practicing what you preach, or anything that you want to share with other marriages, we need to hear from you too. So bless us with your comments on our Facebook page, following us on Instagram. All right. Anything else, Dave, before we leave?
So, you know, what will be the next play in our playbook? What does that look like?
For us?
For us.
For us, it's preparing for one vision. God has given us this great big vision for this event, and so we are in preparation. So pray for us that our goal right now and our prayer is that the Lord would lead us to not just work out of our own gifts, but to really speak into the lives of who he's calling to be there. He knows the needs in their marriages, and for him to just kind of just guide us and to lead us in the areas that we should touch on and go. We just pray. We're praying for God to move miraculously and in our marriages on this event. So you do not want to miss it. Make sure that you are registered. And again, don't forget about the special. If you order the triple play, which is 3 couples at a discount already, you get the 4th couple to come in for free. All right, so definitely take advantage of that with your marriage groups.
All right.
So thank you for joining us on One Team Tuesdays.
That's
See you next Tuesday. And always remember, we are
2 hearts,
2 minds,
and
one team.
All right.
Good night.